Wrestling fans are now convinced that the WWE is having an internal war with itself right now as we speak. We have so much confirmation of this. We have The Rock saying that he did not like the build. So that's some crazy stuff. So looking at the timeline of this whole thing, we got Nick Khan out there saying that, AEW is garbage, congratulating AEW, Tony Khan's father. Hey, congrats on putting up the money for this silly thing, right? You got Tony Khan out there saying, or rather you got Nick Khan. Nick Khan's out there saying that the WWE are the underdogs and saying that AEW sucks, but that the father is pretty good. So Tony Khan getting attacked for that. Nick Khan attacking for they're the underdog. Then you got Triple H blaming the fans and reviewers and critics that things are terrible. The Rock himself, though, criticized WWE. The Rock said that he thought that the build to Mania would have been different if he built it. He would have finessed things a little bit better. So basically, The Rock didn't like the build to WrestleMania. Well, The Rock didn't like the build to Mania. Well, neither did many of the fans. They loved everything at Elimination Chamber, and they didn't like everything the minute after Elimination Chamber because The Rock wasn't involved and because of whatever the WWE decided to do. The Rock is getting so much hate when I don't know if it's really his fault. Let's look at the timeline. The timeline is this. First, WWE reaches out to The Rock for Elimination Chamber and says, Rock, we need you. The ticket sales ain't good enough. The Rock says, okay, The Rock will be there. And the plan is I'm going to tell Cody, I want your soul and you got to answer me at the Elimination Chamber. Well, if they weren't going to go anywhere further with that, they shouldn't have done it. But they did anyway. So they tell you that. They set that up. Then at Elimination Chamber, out comes The Rock. John Cena flips heel. He gives his soul to The Rock, essentially. But then The Rock says, hey, guys, I don't think this feud needs me anymore. Good job. I'm out. I think it should be about them and not me. There's the biggest mistake that was made right there. It absolutely needed to be about The Rock because The Rock is the biggest heel in the company. Even though John Cena turned heel, John Cena is not seen still as the top heel. It's still The Rock. And unfortunately, The Rock or WWE did not realize this. So they pushed the idea of the soul. It doesn't happen. There's essentially a plot A and a plot B. Story A is that The Rock is in charge of everything and he wants a soul. Story B is that John Cena is now turned heel on his final run in WWE. And at WrestleMania, only one of those things was really finessed. Then The Rock backs out. The Rock says he thought the build was blah and that he would have done better. Several leaks came out that said The Rock wasn't really happy with the creative of WrestleMania and that he would have done something different. The Rock himself then says that exact thing. Triple H attacks fans and critics, mostly critics, for criticizing the booking of WWE. Wishes we could go back to a day when there was, when people didn't know it wasn't real, and that critics didn't, review wrestling like this, and that the curtain wasn't pulled back. Meanwhile, Triple H is promoting a show called Unreal, where they expose the entire business ridiculously. And they have a show called LFG where you see the behind-the-scenes working of a superstar. Meanwhile, Triple H has also been involved in several other projects that expose the business, like Tough Enough and more and more and more. Plus, he was the originator of the first ever biggest exposure in the WWE, the Curtain Call. So Triple H really wants to have his cake and eat it too and seems ridiculous. So we got multiple mistakes going on by WWE. It's almost unbelievable, to be honest. But multiple mistakes and gaffes by WWE making them look bad. The fans seem to blame The Rock for ruining Mania, but, I don't think it's all The Rock's fault. But in the end, whatever The Rock wants to do seems to be like whatever they'll do. They just have to talk The Rock into something or out of it, and then they'll go with it, but The Rock has to be on board. And The Rock seems to be open to suggestion, even though he is running things for his character, and also, kind of running things a little bit for the company a bit. But The Rock has, full trust, I think, in Triple H and those guys, so he lets them make the call, but he also has full creative control over what he wants to do. And so I believe a lot of people screwed up here. But The Rock did not agree with the build to Mania, and Triple H is angry at people who criticize the build to Mania. Well, The Rock is one of those people. It's not just the people, it's The Rock. The Rock is passively aggressively going against Triple H and destroying Triple H's credibility. Triple H is also passively aggressively attacking The Rock through the fans. So is The Rock using the interviews to basically put shade on Triple H? And is Triple H using the fan backlash to basically put shade on The Rock? I mean, it feels like there's a rift here. It feels like there's some kind of sour grape nastiness going on between these guys, and they're passively aggressively not taking it out directly on each other, probably for fear that they'll destroy a relationship or maybe even the company. And we know that in the past, Triple H would rather, fire you behind your back potentially than to your face. I mean, we saw what Triple H, what Bret Hart did to Triple H at the Hall of Fame. Triple H walked over and thanked Bret Hart and then thanked Stone Cold and thanked everybody as he walked off the stage. And Bret Hart was like, yeah, okay, you fucking piece of shit. Like, Bret Hart basically said F you to Triple H without saying F you to Triple H. And by Triple H and them giving Bret Hart 2 minutes to speak at the Hall of Fame, Triple H got about 3,000 hours to speak at the Hall of Fame. Which, by the way, Bret Hart had his moment at the Hall of Fame already. I don't remember how long Bret Hart's speech was, but I'm assuming that Bret Hart had a pretty long speech at the Hall of Fame, so he had his moment. It's not like Bret didn't have his moment. He had his moment. This is just a small little moment. They want him to come on, accept the award, love the match. We had a great time. Thanks for remembering it. Not to drone on for another hour because that's for the main eventer, Triple H. Just happened to be him. But I'm sure Bret Hart saw it as a slight and a problem, and that's what you get.
Year, and they sent me home in the summer of '97, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew this is not going to work for me. I don't even know if I have a future in pro wrestling. All the spotlight go to John. Let it pulled off the greatest angle in the history of professional wrestling, other than Hulk Hogan turning heel back in the '90s. I said, this is amazing. We have 6 weeks. Now, let's build. You guys go and crush it, and I'll be right there with you, and I'm always here if you need me.
There you go. The Rock said, I'm going to step away, but now you got 6 weeks. Let's go. And basically, I feel like The Rock thought, let me back out of this so these guys can shine. So I think The Rock was trying to do the right thing. It was the wrong thing in hindsight. But not only was it the wrong thing anyway, regardless of how the build to WrestleMania went, it was going to be the wrong thing anyway. But it was really the wrong thing once you saw what the build was. And I'm sure The Rock was sitting at home going, oh my God, if I knew they were going to waste this like this and they were just going to go out there every week and just whatever until we get to WrestleMania, shit, I would have come back and done this whole soul thing. I didn't know it was going to be so lame. That's what I believe The Rock thinks. Listen to how he just described that, like, oh, hey, man, I did the soul thing, but let's not do that anymore. That's a mistake. Let these guys cook and do their thing. I'm going to step aside. Hell, maybe that's what they wanted and not what Rock wanted.
I said, this is amazing. We have 6 weeks. Now, let's build. You guys go and crush it, and I'll be right there with you, and I'm always here if you need me, but I think it's best for the final boss not to be involved in that finish. You guys go. So they had 6 weeks.
But he should have been involved in the finish because he was so involved in the start, and that made him the main mega heel. I don't think The Rock, and they do not understand, The Rock is the final boss. How do they not understand that when they literally named him that?
Who planned for that. So I love the finish of the match.
So you see this? This is the most important part of the interview, where he's at a loss for words of how to say, I think the build sucked. I think the build absolutely stunk and sucked. But the finish of Mania is what we were going to do. And John Cena with the belt, that was, that's great. That's what we wanted. That's what happened. But yeah, the build wasn't so good. Watch this body language of The Rock going, how do I say this without being offensive? This is unbelievable. This should be the most viral thing going on in the world of wrestling right now. And actually, it is now. It is. People finally picked up on this. I picked up on this the night of WrestleMania. And then we picked up on this the second this interview dropped the other day. We were making videos about it before anything because, oh my God, this is the biggest story in wrestling now. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with really the wrestling. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Love it or hate it. You don't like it, Triple H? You don't like it, WWE? Why don't you do something about it then? You know? Last year's WrestleMania, the end of WrestleMania left people satiated or whatever, satisfied. Like, oh, I just get an orgasm. This year's WrestleMania left people with blue balls. Watch this.
Finish of the match. I would have finessed things a little differently on how they got there, but that's just me creatively. There are a lot of minds in the room. That's my thought. But still, ultimately, the bottom line was I love John getting 17.
There you go. They wanted him to get that 17. That's the only thing The Rock's happy with is that John Cena got to 17. Nice. John Cena got to 17. Oh, it was terrible, though. Crazy. Look at him looking away. See when he breaks eye contact from the camera? This is when The Rock is putting up a wall. Whenever The Rock is not lying necessarily, but whenever he's self-censoring, he will do this. It's very rare that The Rock self-censors because The Rock usually just says what he means right off the bat. But when he looks like this, and he looks away and he starts looking up in a way, that's his tell that he's trying to reword his actual thoughts.
And I never had a concern about John pulling this off.
See, he's staring at the camera right there. I never had a concern about John pulling it off. The reason is because it's too big to fail. John Cena pulling off the heel turn, regardless of whatever, it's just too big to fail, it feels like. And The Rock really believes look at him stare right at the camera. No worry about it. Now watch him look up again. Now when he looks up like that and he starts looking up, now he's censoring. Whatever he says next is a censor. Watch.
My thoughts are always to Cody because of what we've established with him and his story and the kind of babyface that he is.
What The Rock is really saying here is, I feel like Cody Rhodes was hurt by this, and so I'm concerned about Cody. But, that's what I'm worried about is that we're keeping Cody safe in this whole thing, and I don't really think we kept him safe. And on top of that, he looks like an idiot, right? Cody Rhodes kind of looks like a moron. And here's where The Rock is going to say, but I think Cody has another run in him, another run of, whatever.
So if done right, and I think if finessed right.
If done right, and if finessed right, which it was not, once again, now he's looking at the camera because he's telling you if it had been done right and if it was done right, Cody would still come out good. Look at this, staring right at the camera as he says that because he believes that.
Right, and if nuanced right, down the road, that guy not only has an incredible babyface run again as champion, but also just an unheard of run as a heel.
Yeah.
So basically what The Rock is saying is hopefully, soon down the road we can repair what was screwed up and what was done to him wrong. And I know that down the road we can build him up again to, winning that belt again. And he's also could have a major heel run in there, and he throws that out there, which Cody does not want to be heel. Cody doesn't want to be heel. But also, John Cena just flipped, and they didn't do a great job with that, so nobody wants to see whatever job they'll do with Cody. But, yeah, so the very, very telling stuff from The Rock there, just super interesting. This guy just spilled the beans on purpose, I think. I almost think he did this on purpose. But he was careful, which, respect to The Rock. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. What do you think about all this? I think The Rock is getting way too much blame. I think The Rock was trying to do something right, and he made a mistake. There's two big mistakes that ended up happening. And The Rock I don't think The Rock really saw either one of them coming. He didn't understand. The first mistake is that The Rock is underestimating how much the people want to boo him and how much he really is the final boss. And so he underestimated that. That's number one. Listen, it happens. We all make mistakes. The Rock can shoot 10 times, he'll miss once. And this was one of those times. And the second mistake wasn't really The Rock's fault, But The Rock put all his trust in Triple H and the creative. Like, I'm going to step back. I think I'm going to ruin it. You guys go. You got it. And maybe that's because The Rock and Triple H couldn't agree, and they couldn't agree, so The Rock said, you know what, I'm out of this. You guys do what you want to do. I'm going to step aside. And then The Rock did step aside, and then what happened is the creative that they came up with was underwhelming. And so now The Rock is saying that. Not very good, not what I would do, but, in the end, that's what we wanted. John got 17. That's great. And I know down the road, Cody can have this run, and we can figure it out. So The Rock basically spills the beans on everything. I think The Rock is taking like 90% of the blame right now, and that's incorrect. I think The Rock needs to take about 50% of the blame, and 50% of the blame should go to the rest of the guys for not making a good enough build to WrestleMania that could have recovered from The Rock not being there. So The Rock wasn't there, strike one. The build was kind of goofy and stupid, strike two. And then at WrestleMania, it all went predictable, and then we had no Rock and no finish to the story that we thought we were getting, and no answers about the soul and all that other stuff because The Rock decided he's out. Unbelievable. Here's chapter 1. You ready for chapter 2? There is no chapter 2. The book's done, guys. Are you happy? Probably fucking not. I'm Joe Cronin. Leave a comment down below that says Triple H and The Rock have big ones, and then also leave a donation if you guys want to support me big time. Please feel free to do that. We would love to have you guys. I would need you to support the show, and you can do that, support the show in so many different ways. But, man, one of the best ways you can support the show is by going to one of these places and dropping me a dono of some kind. And if you're a super rich person with hundreds of $1,000s in your bank account, oh, my God, drop me a personal dono so I can go out and I can buy Toys R Us. Please, thank you. I will shout out Roxbury7. Roxbury7 dropped a $100 donation on the side via Cash App. Thank you to Roxbury. I know Roxbury. It's in Massachusetts, and people die there. But thank you so much for that. Cash App and Venmo, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show, paypal.me/Joe Cronin Show. What do you guys think about this? Who ruined WrestleMania? What is going on with this internal war inside the WWE? And who's going to prevail? And does this spell trouble for Triple H, The Rock, or are we the ones that are going to suffer because of this obvious WWE internal war? Now here's some more videos you might have missed. Keep watching The Joe Cronin Show. We just hit 76,000 subscribers!